Hello, I'm Evelyn Lorence, and I'm the Young Adult Librarian at the Sycamore Library. The Sycamore Library is one of the partner libraries for the STEM Teen Read. I'd like to tell you about The Fault in Our Stars by John Green and introduce you to a few great read-alikes. The Fault in Our Stars tells the story of terminally ill Hazel, who meets a boy named Augustus at the support group her parents force her to attend. Hazel and Augustus hit it off immediately, even though Hazel tries hard not to form attachments, since she knows she's going to die, and she knows that the people she leaves behind will be hurt when she does, and she doesn't want to be responsible for hurting more people than absolutely necessary. Hazel tells Augustus about her favorite book, An Imperial Affliction by Peter Van Houten, a cancer book that isn't really about cancer at all, and which ends mid-sentence as the main character either dies or loses the strength to continue. Hazel and Augustus end up chasing down the reclusive author to try to find answers to Hazel's questions about what happened after the end of the book to the other characters involved. If you enjoyed the adventure that Hazel and Augustus go on in The Fault in Our Stars to find the author, you should read Going Bovine by Libba Bray. In this story, Cameron Smith is diagnosed with Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, which you've probably heard of, but it's more often referred to as mad cow disease. When Cameron receives a tip that there is a cure for his disease, but only if he can escape the hospital and locate a mysterious Dr. X, Cameron escapes and sets off on a road trip adventure in an attempt to find the cure. If you enjoyed the dark humor found in The Fault in Our Stars, you should try Deadline by Chris Crutcher. What would you do with your life if you only had 1 year left to live? That's the question Ben Wolfe must ask himself when, during a routine physical before the start of his senior year, he's diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. Ben decides to do everything he never had the guts to do before. He's in a race to make life mean something big in only a short amount of time, because, well, that's all he's got. The interesting part of Ben's story is that he's 18 years old when he finds out he's ill, and he makes the decision not to tell anyone else he's sick. If you love the language and character building in The Fault in Our Stars, you should read The Last Summer of the Death Warriors by Francisco Stork. In this story, it's about Pancho, who's no stranger to death. His mother passed away when he was only 5 months old. His father died in a construction accident, and then, only 3 months later, the last member of his immediate family, his older sister Rosa, is found dead in a motel room. Though the cause of her death was listed as undetermined by the coroner's report, Pancho suspects foul play. The police never bothered to find out who was with Rosa in the motel room where they found her lifeless body. All Pancho can think about on the ride to his new home, St. Anthony's Orphanage, is finding the man responsible for Rosa's death and killing him. Then Pancho meets DQ, a fellow orphan who is losing his own battle with cancer. DQ is determined to live out his last days to the fullest and has written a guide to living. He calls it the Death Warrior's Manifesto. Pancho already has a gun, but now he needs to decide whether or not he should really avenge his sister's death or try taking the path that DQ has offered, the path of faith, forgiveness, and love, the path of the Death Warrior. If you would rather read a true story about a teen's life with cancer, I've got a picture of the cover here because our copy of the book is so popular it's checked out right now. Read Regine's book, A Teen Girl's Last Words by Regine Stoke. When young Regine was diagnosed with leukemia, she started a blog to describe her experience with the illness. Her blog gained a huge following and soon became Regine's book. She writes about the emotional and the physical aspects of living with cancer and how it impacted her life. Regine died at her home on December 3, 2009, but her story lives on in this book. I hope you enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I hope you'll try some of these books. Thank you for being part of the STEM Teen Read.